everyone, how y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the annotating book tag. So I absolutely adore talking about annotating books on my channel, but there's only so many times that you can make videos talking about how you annotate books before it starts to get really redundant. So I thought that doing this book tag would be a fun way to kind of talk about my book annotating in a slightly different way. So there are some really fun questions to get through, so let's just get started. The first question is, do you mark your annotations with page flags? So yes, I do. I just buy these ones from the dollar store. They're just the ones that I started buying a handful of years ago. I think it might have been 4 years ago, and they're just the ones that I've stuck with. They work for me. Do I wish that maybe there was like another color or two? Yes, but overall these really work for me, and I love marking up my favorite moments with these. The next question is, do you match flags to the book cover, or do you have a set flagging system? So it kind of depends on the situation and the book. So for example, for Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia, I used only green tabs because I had an excess amount of them in comparison to other tabs, and since it did kind of match the green of the cover, I figured why not just use a whole bunch of green tabs. I don't love doing this all the time though, because I do love being able to see what each tab means, and when I look at this I just see a sea of green. I don't see my actual like range of emotions, so this is not my favorite way to annotate. Typically I do correlate these two specific things. Orange typically means funny. I have no pink here, but pink usually means romantic moments. Yellow means favorite moments. Green are quotes, and blue is for sad moments. So I really like having like a specific color coding system. It just keeps things more organized and fun in my opinion. The next question is, what is the first book you ever annotated? So one of the first books that I ever annotated was Wonder by R.J. Palacio. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I even like defaced the cover. This is actually the movie tie-in edition. The dust jacket is right up there, but I decided to deface the cover of this one a little bit to make it a bit more personalized. I also spray painted the edges and wrote "choose kind." Don't love the way that looks, but you live and you learn. But yeah, this is one of the first books that I ever actually properly annotated, meaning like I wrote and highlighted in it. I even have a picture in here of Peyton meeting R.J. Palacio because she wrote on a sticky note, that's right there, saying hi to me. So that was a fun moment that I put in there, and eventually I will write about the experience. I just haven't done that yet, but this is one of my favorite annotated copies as well. The next question is, have you ever been against annotating? Probably. I was probably one of those readers who thought that you should never write in your books, but I've honestly come to love and appreciate it so much. Like, this is my book collection, and so if I decide to write in a book, it makes it so personal and unique, and I love rereading books that have annotations in them. I love actually annotating a book. It usually enhances the reading experience itself for me, and it's just a really fun thing to do. It looks pretty, so I'm not against it now, but at one point I probably was. I just don't specifically remember. The next question is, did you ease into annotating your books, or did you jump right in? So I guess you could say I eased into it because I used to just tab books and then I started annotating years later. But I think like in the early days of booktube, there weren't many people, at least that I was watching, who were annotating. They were just tabbing up and marking their favorite places. So I just kind of did what everybody else was doing, and tabbing is like a very non-permanent way to annotate. So I did start with just tabbing. But when I actually decided that I wanted to annotate, I did just jump right on in and just start writing in the book. I didn't like start using sticky notes and then like later transferring it. I'm pretty sure I just jumped right on it and started writing in my books. The next question is, do you keep unannotated versions of your annotated books? So the answer to this is yes, usually. For example, I do have this annotated copy of Wonder, but I do have many copies up here that are not annotated. So we were talking about Eliza and Her Monsters earlier. This is my annotated copy, but I also have my original hardcover copy that is not annotated. I like having the option, if I want to read the annotated copy or to read the blank copy, kind of depending what mood I'm in. And I just like knowing that I have a blank copy. I would like to eventually get to a place where I don't have to have an unannotated copy of a book, but I'm just not quite there yet. But I do have some instances where I did just annotate my only copy. The next question is, has anyone ever annotated a book for you? The answer is no. Although I really wish that somebody would, because I think that it would be such a fun thing, like being able to read a book and seeing somebody else's annotations in it. I think that'd be so cute. The next question is, do you mind used books with annotations already in them? I've never been in a situation where I found a book that I want at like the thrift store or something that was already annotated. So I can't say if I would really mind it or not, since I've never been in a situation like that. I don't know if I would mind. I think it kind of depends what book it is. Maybe if it's a book that I've already read, I wouldn't mind. I do think there's something cool about it, like if it was a copy of Wonder, or if it was a copy of like Anne of Green Gables or something like that, like a book that I'm very familiar with and I've read before. I think it would be kind of fun to have a book that was already annotated by somebody, but that situation has never arisen for me, so I don't really know how I would feel, but I'm just assuming that I wouldn't love it. The next question is, have you ever gotten hate or horrified stares for writing in your books? So I wouldn't say I've gotten hate or horrified stares. Those feel quite dramatic, but I have gotten questioned by like family members and things where I'll be like writing or highlighting in front of them and they'll be like, why are you writing in your books, kind of thing. They're just like kind of curious about it, and they ask me like why I'm annotating it, why am I highlighting, what am I highlighting, but I don't think anyone has ever been like, oh my god, what are you doing, kind of thing. And I've never received hate for it if I've like talked about it on my channel or anything. I think it's a more common thing in the book community these days, so I don't think many people question it anymore. At least I haven't experienced that. I'm honestly of the belief of you can do whatever you want with your books. It does not affect me, so I hope that people would take that same mentality towards me and what I do with my books. The next question is, what do you annotate your books with? So I have this whole annotation pouch that is of course Wonder themed. One of my friends, Julia, bought this for me for birthday or Christmas one year, I can't remember which one. So I use the tabs, like I said, to mark up my favorite spots. I also use highlighters. I don't use any sort of specific highlighters. I usually just have a random array of things. And I also use pens. Usually a Papermate pen. When I was annotating the archive recently, I used the Inkjoy gel pen, which was a lot of fun, and I matched the color of the pen to the book, which is something that I do a lot. Sometimes I use pencil crayons too if I decide to draw in the book, but that's not very often. But yeah, pens, highlighters, tabs, that's pretty much the extent of my annotation supplies, and they all belong in this cute little pouch. The next question is, have you ever regretted annotating a book? So the answer is kind of. So I used to regret having annotated Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli because this is my only copy of it, and I was trying to like dip my toes into annotating my first copies of a book and annotating my first read through of a book, and I decided to test it with this book because I figured, oh, it's in the Simon verse, it's by Becky Albertalli, I'll adore it, so this seems like the perfect opportunity to try doing something like this. I did not love this book, but upon rereading it since my initial read, I have gotten like a new appreciation for this book. It's still not a favorite, but I feel like I regret annotating it a bit less now because while I reread it, it was kind of fun to see those initial reactions. It's still like not my favorite thing that I've ever done, but I wouldn't say that I regret it anymore. I never plan on getting rid of this book, so it's not that big of a deal, but I might possibly have regretted annotating The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks or A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks because I did unhaul A Walk to Remember, but I didn't want to donate it with my annotations in it, so now I'm just using it to like rip up for art, which I kind of feel bad doing, but like whatever. I haven't even finished reading this book, but I did start annotating it because this was one of my favorite books as a kid, but it's just, you know, don't love this book as much anymore, and I feel like if I ever wanted to get rid of it in the future, I can't. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that I regret it though. So the next question is, why do you annotate? And I feel like I already touched on this earlier, but I just love personalizing my book collection and being able to see my thoughts of a book. It's so much fun to reread, to look back on. It's fun to see all the tabs in a book. It's just overall a really fun time, and like I also said earlier, it just enhances the reading experience, and it's a lot of fun. Like I don't know what else I can say. It's just a lot of fun. The next question is, when underlining, do you use a ruler? No, I don't. I just freehand it. Does that mean I get a lot of messy lines? Yes. Do I mind? Not really. It is what it is. I don't want to go through the extra effort of using a ruler. I don't like using rulers. I never use a ruler for anything. So. And the next question is, do you annotate each book that you read? No. I feel like you can kind of gather that from how I answered the other questions. I basically just annotate favorite books when I'm rereading them. Some of my favorites that I've done are these ones. So we have The Fault in Our Stars, which I have a whole flip through on my channel, but I did like a lot of drawing in this one, and of course I'm not landing on any of the pages where there are drawings, but I did draw in this one. So if you want to see that, I do have a flip through on my channel. Talk Flirty to Me by Livy Hart is just ballooning. It is so full of annotations. I even put sticky notes in here to mark my favorite chapters, and it was just a really fun time. The whole Shatter Me series, but in particular Unravel Me, because there were some romantic parts in here where I was just highlighting full pages, which I just thought was so funny, and I feel like it really enhanced my experience of this book in particular. And then The Story Life of AJ Fikry is another favorite one because I feel like I got really personal with my annotations, which is also another thing that I really enjoy, is being able to connect to the text in a very personal and emotional way. So I really enjoyed this one as well. I know there was not a question asking about my personal favorites, but I just kind of wanted to shout those out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below and let me know if you annotate your books, because I'd really love to know. Subscribe if you have not yet already, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!